Good morning, folks. MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa here with the MLive Morning Weather Update. If you could hit the share button, I would appreciate it very much. We're going to start to talk spring, gradual spring, and we're not going to talk summer in here. So for those of you that say, oh, we always jump from winter to summer, we're going to have, it looks like, a few week period of what I would call spring weather. That's highs in the 60s and 70s. So let's get on into it. And here we go. Today, I would call it a cloudy, a mostly cloudy day. You will see some periods of sunshine, but the clouds are pretty thick right now. This is the current satellite image. You see some breaks in the clouds over Lake Huron, kind of backing back to the south and west. And I'll show you a forecast on that in just a moment. As far as precipitation, the thumb has some lake effect that doesn't really show well on the radar, I guess. So probably a little more rain going on in the southeast than what shows, but it's real sporadic. And, you could have a stray shower. You could really have a stray shower, a 5 or 10 minute shower anywhere in lower Michigan today, but not real likely. Now, here is that high resolution rapid refresh model. No, I'm sorry. Let me get it so you can see it. Okay, so here's that high resolution. You see in the thumb, in the Detroit area, maybe Ann Arbor, Oakland County, you can have 10, 15-minute showers, a couple of them fairly light, except for the thumb. Here on County, it can be a little bit heavier because you're right in that pipeline for lake effect rainfall. And then as we go through the afternoon, this is 6 o'clock this evening, still just a sporadic shower in the eastern half of the state, 10% chance or something like that. All right, so now we get to talk spring. Here's some changes from yesterday. We like to look at the European 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days out. It's quite accurate. 8, 9, 10 days at this time of the year. If we get a northeast wind from that computer model, it'll forecast a cool down. And if it kills off that northeast wind the next day, then the warm up is back. And so, like I said, you probably be looking, hopefully you don't have to look at an app for the weather. Hopefully this suffices. But if you do look at an app, you're going to see, oh, they were saying next Saturday, 70 degrees. Now it says 50. Oh, it's back to 7. What's going on? Wind direction, wind direction, wind direction, wind direction at this time of the year. And also, I still think that we cannot rule out frosts. I think we will still have 1 to 2 frosts in the southern half of lower Michigan and probably 2 or 3 frosts in the northern half of lower Michigan and in the UP too. We don't get rid of the chance of a frost until we go to a southwest wind for 2 or 3 days and warm up into the 70s and 80s. And it's not a coincidence that that typically happens around Memorial Day weekend. It could happen a week before that. It could happen a few days after. But that's when a lot of people say the safe date is Memorial weekend, and it's no coincidence that we turn southwesterly on the winds. Um, and Holly Henry, you bring up a very good point. So Mother's Day for planting, it is. If in southern lower, let's see, Mother's Day is not this weekend, but the following weekend. At that point, we'll have guidance as to whether there could be a frost in the following week or so. But you may have to cover. If you go with Mother's Day this year, you may have to cover stuff. So here's the cloud forecast. Let's go to noon. there can be some breaks in the clouds, what I would call shy sunshine. Hey, Mr. Daryl Dinan in the house. Got to give a shout out to one of my favorite all-time television engineers. I'll put you in the top 3. How does that sound? All right. So, let's go we go through this afternoon. This is 4 o'clock this afternoon, where you see 38%, like around by Lansing. That is more sun in the sky than clouds, but you see a lot of places where it's still 90% cloudiness. And as we go into the evening hours, this is 7 o'clock, 8, 9, 10. The clouds are still there overnight, but they're breaking up and they're set to go away at least 50% on Thursday for most of us. Okay, now we look into the extended, and Daryl Dyna says, "I'll take it, top 3." Yes, yes. We just do that because it gives you room to strive. If we told you were the top dog, then you'd probably say, I don't have to strive anymore. Hey, good morning, Daniel Steiner from Wausau, Wisconsin. Okay, so now we're going to look out into the future. Now, remember, I like to show you what's called the deterministic. You're going to get into the guts of meteorology here. Sorry, you can handle it. You're going to get the deterministic mode of the European model. That is the best settings, what we consider the most accurate, and then they run it, okay? Then you're going to see the ensemble mode, which is tweaking that model 31 different times and running it. And that way, if the deterministic has a northeast wind and plunges our temperatures at 10 days out, it might be one of the only ones of those 31 runs, 31 tweaks that does that. Craig Schaefer, no more freezes for Saginaw. I would say you will still have a freeze. Obviously, you could have one tomorrow morning if the sky's clear. I would say it is still possible. Maybe not so much a freeze, but definitely a frost is still possible. All right, so here we go with the European model. Let's see. So we go into today and we're dry, and then we go into tomorrow and we're dry, and you notice the blue lines in the cold pocket slowly moving off. Friday. Now, there could be some rain showers in northern lower Michigan on Friday. We'll look closer at that in a minute. Right now, what we're doing with this, what I want us to do with this, and why I always show the U.S., is I just want you to see the big picture of what's going to be generally happening in the next 10 days. And I'll tell you what, by the way, this is what I love about the format here for me on MLive. I can show you the big picture. On TV news, you can't. Why? We call them, they called them, back when TV stations had the money to pay for people to tell them what they were doing wrong, they were called consultants. We on air called them insultants, because that's what they usually did. Was even if you were number one and you were doing a great job, they would come in and say, well, your hair is parted on the left. Studies show it would look a lot better on the right. Oh, but the main thing from us meteorologists that they killed is, don't show the U.S. Nobody wants to know about the U.S. They want to know about their street. So monkey around. I'm starting to rant here. Monkey around and waste your time showing that their street doesn't have any rain on a sunny day. No compost. I've been on rants lately. I don't know what the deal is. I might need to get some help. All right, so here we go. Big picture. Hey, please hit the share button, because you just never know when one of these rants is going to become historic. I have it in me. All right, here we go. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we'll look closer. Should be dry in lower Michigan. You notice the cold pocket moving farther northeast up in Canada. It's still there, but it's moving farther north. Monday, Tuesday into Wednesday, we start to get showery. We'll look a little bit closer. Hey, Daryl Dylan says I'm right. Thank you, sir. You got to give me a call. Direct message me, Big D, so we can catch up and say hi at least. And then we're into next Thursday and Friday, into next Friday, and maybe another weak storm system heading this way. And you'll notice these storm systems are coming out of California, which is still an active storm pattern, and then heading our way. And these are diminishing and cut in half or 2/3 by the time they get to us. Why? I'm going to write about that on MLive this morning. It's called an omega block. I showed you yesterday, and if you ever, were on Greek row in college or in math, omega is this like horseshoe with two things at the bottom, and that we're under the good part of the omega block as we get the sunshine and the weakening storm systems, which we can handle right now. All right, here's a little closer of a look. Our afternoon today, again, another learning feature for you. You only know this. You are the only folks that have ever heard this. Someone watching TV weather has never heard this term, cyclonic curvature, because you're smart. That means that around a low pressure center, these isobars are curved around the low pressure center. That's cyclonic curvature. That makes clouds. That makes showers. When a high pressure builds in, the isobars are shaped the other way. That's anticyclonic curvature. That makes the air sink. That squashes the clouds or spreads them apart and brings sunshine eventually. So, we still look at this morning a lot of cyclonic curvature, and notice where it ends, across Lake Michigan. So it's not a secret that the sky's clear in Wisconsin, and we kind of hang on to the cyclonic curvature. And here's Friday. Traverse City could be into some showers, and Charlevoix probably nothing sustained, maybe an hour or two. Tony McGurr, we're looking at a cooler than average summer. I read it usually happens going into El Nino. Some of the things pointing toward cooler than average, but then, of course, the 800-pound gorilla, the globe is warmer. You put those two together and you probably get an average, nice, warm summer. The atmosphere has a capability of shocking us on how warm it can get nowadays. So this is a Sunday, and then, so Sunday night, maybe a little quick shower. If you could hit the share button too, by the way, I'm going to start to harp on that. I need more followers. Everything's more expensive. I don't really make any more money with more followers, but maybe someday I will. So please hit the share button. Tell your friend that you think is interested in weather, that is maybe works outside. This is how I get my weather. Okay, and then we go into next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. So we'll call next Tuesday and Wednesday our next showery period, really, okay? Today, we make it into the 50s in a lot of places, but struggle to do that. Thanks, Chris McLean. I appreciate that. And thanks, Carmelita Tiffany. Tomorrow, 60. So like I said, we're not going to rip right into summer, but we're going to have some comfortable afternoons. Friday, this model wants to give a little bit of a northeast wind to places. Can you tell where it is? Yes, you can. North of Clare. And that's also with the showers around. Ron Van's fishing outage, May 18th to 21, Portage Lake. Hopefully great for you. Saturday, in 60s, flirting with 70. Sunday, some places may crack 70, but you should expect 68. That's beautiful. Monday, low 70s. Tuesday, now here's the difference. Tuesday, it brings in, well, a little bit of shower activity. So it has a wide temperature range from low 70s to some places in the 60s. Wednesday in the 60s to near 70. Thursday near 70. Friday 10 days out. Then it brings the 75. And remember all along, oops, we lost us. Hold on a second. Here we go. I had this happen yesterday and then it would not connect. So we'll see. I don't know what the deal is. Okay, it's back. Sorry about that. I would just like to point out that human being, I think, still better than a straight model. Still for a while. 3 to 5 years from now, probably not. Probably AI. You know, this AI buzzword, AI. That's what weather models are. We've had AI, since the mid 80s in meteorology. I've always said that. We are going to be one of the first industries that the human being is totally gone because the models are so good. Guess what happens 5 years for me? Retirement, baby. On the beach and working on the golf game, the garden, and keeping the outside of my house up. You know what I'm talking about. Working and you can't keep anything up. All right, so should be pretty good, right? Okay, all right, we're back. Okay, so the general theme is look at a lot of 60s and some low to mid 70s. Okay, now here's what I wanted to show you, the change from yesterday. The trend, we just look at trends, and the trend is to erode away the cold air. Yesterday, remember, 8, 9, 10 days out, the European brought the back edge of cool air in and dropped our temperatures a little bit again. Very common. It probably will still be that to some extent, but look at today. It kind of backs off on that and has that potential. So here we are going to look at the ensemble mode, okay, of basically the temperatures of 5,000 feet up, but if they show warmer than normal, then surface becomes warmer than normal. This is the weekend. This is next Monday and Tuesday. So the cold pocket aloft is gone. This is what it looks like right now, by the way. This is right now, cold pocket aloft. So we go to early next week, and that has moved up into Northeast Canada. Now we're at Thursday of next week. We're at Friday, May 12th. We're at Sunday, May 14th. Now this is where the run just 12 hours ago tried to bring cooler air in. Tries to do that May 16th and May 17th, May 18th. And look at that. And let me just show you the change from 12 hours ago. It had a slight cool trend in the middle. So that's how we use the ensemble mode, is just to see the trend. And the point is that it doesn't look crazy cold going forward. It doesn't look crazy warm. It looks like we're going to have a couple of nice spring weeks at least. All right, let's take some questions here. What about this weekend on Saturday in the Clare area? Verna Murawski. Oh, let's go back to this weekend. Close look in the Clare area for Verna. I think it's pretty good. This is Saturday morning, Sunday morning, Sunday evening. So yeah, Clare area, you're good. Probably looking at 60 degrees or so. Somebody else brought this up. Actually, my father-in-law and brother-in-law brought this up yesterday. Good weather for mushrooms. I have got to figure that out. We need a specific mushroom forecast. Nobody's done it, and it'll be in the category of things that only Mark Torregrossa will have done using applied meteorology. That's why I love meteorology, is because it's an applied science. It is theoretical at times, but it's also applied. Okay. Sherry Hedrick, I would love to turn my heat in my home off for the year. No, you're still with 60s in the afternoon. You're still 40s. Weekend wind, TC area, Gary Clark. Let's take a look. Without major storm systems, wind will not be a real big dominant feature. So this is Saturday morning in the TC area. You're probably looking at a easterly wind, could go northeasterly in the afternoon. Should be 5 to 10 miles an hour, but usually with some sunshine, it turns heavier at this time and stronger at this time of the year. So I would call it, 10 to 15 miles an hour out of the east-ish, turning toward the northeast in the afternoon. Tom Ramsey Munising this weekend looks pretty good. You could have a shower, but you certainly won't have 12 inches of snow like they did. I start at Pioneer Music Theater the 15th. Is it supposed to be warm? Kendall Bailey. I would say you're looking at, afternoons in the 60s and mornings in the 40s. Chance for a clear night skies from mid-state north, stargazing or aurora chasing if skies clear. Yes, yes, it's going to be patchy cloud, but at night we tend to clear. So, Rose, you're just going to have to take it day by day on that. All right. Thanks for joining me on the MLive Morning Weather Update. I'm MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa. I apologize. Few little rants in there. Sometimes it happens. One more dismal day, but not like the last couple of days. And then we should be off and running. Frost is not done. So today on MLive, I'm going to show you about the Omega block. If you're a weather geek like I am, we're going to talk about that and how we're under the good part of the Omega block. And then I'm going to talk about what we should plant this weekend. Because yes, we're ready to plant, but what should we plant? So I'll let you know about that. Monitor mlive.com/weather. Please hit the share button and have a safe day. Take care.